from PlanetMosh, and one of the privileges of this amazing job that we do as music journalists is we get to meet an enormous amount of very talented and very inspirational artists, musicians, guys who are genuine heroes, and in the terms of the man sitting right beside me, in terms of Irish rock and blues music, a living legend, the one and only Eric Bell. Thank you very much for agreeing to talk to PlanetMosh.
No problem, sir, my pleasure.
We're here backstage at the Empire Music Hall in Belfast on a Sunday night. You're launching your new solo album, Exile.
Well, I was supposed to be, but the mix has sort of put everything on the back burner for a while, you know. I went over and we mixed it, and I liked it, and it was very rough. And I brought it home and played it, and I thought it was really good. And you just need to do a few little tweaks here and there. But I went over it again, and we brought a drummer in, and this, that, and the other. And 2 weeks later, they sent me the new mix, and I absolutely hated it. It lost the original mood, so to speak. So I said, no, I don't like this. So I had to go over it again, and I had to start from scratch again, you know. But we got it together. So I don't think the album's going to be out until January, you know, which is a pity, but it's better to wait rather than get it out whenever you're saying you're going to get it out and you're not happy with it, you know.
So you're something of a perfectionist in that regard then?
Well, in a way, you know, you listen to your finished songs and I just go for the mood of the song, you know, rather than anything else. And if that's not there, I don't see the point releasing it really, you know.
The new album's called Exile.
Yeah.
Is there significance in the title?
Yeah, it was one of my trips to Dublin. I went to live in Dublin. I've lived in Dublin various times, you know, but the last time that Exile's about was about 20 years ago, 18 years ago when I moved over, and it was like a fucking nightmare, you know. I couldn't get a gig. Everybody knew who I used to be, but I couldn't get a gig, and I formed a band, and this guy actually gave me a gig in Slattery's upstairs on a Sunday night. He says, yeah, we'll put you on. What he didn't tell me was there was a gig at the same time downstairs, free in. So I'm going on stage in about half an hour, and I look out the changing room and there's 6 people, and I went, oh for fuck's sake, what am I going to do? So I went downstairs to look out in the street to see if there was people about, and I seen this door, and I went over and there's about 200 people in this gig, and it's free admission, and they're on the same time as me, you know? So I went upstairs and played, and it was a total waste of time, and the bass player and drummer came in for their wages, you know, at the end of the gig, and I give them €5 each, and I went, what the fuck's that? I says, that's what we made, you know. I got 4, you know, you've got 5 each. So I said, you know, it's going to take time to build this up. So I turned up next Sunday, and I got a phone call about 3 hours before the gig from the bass player. Eric, can't make it tonight. What? You know, so I had to get a bass player, phone somebody up, and they come down, they helped me out of the spot. So anyway, like what I'm trying to say is, it was like a living nightmare basically, and I wrote that song Exile about it all, you know.
An exile in your home country, more or less? More
or less, yeah. You know, sometimes I feel like an exile, no city, no country, no home, you know. It's like a sort of it's like being a musician in a way, you know, and you're just flitting from home to home, you know, and you're moving. I moved back to London, I moved back to Dublin, and so on and so on. And sometimes it's great, but that song Exile, you know, I just wrote it because of the way I felt, you know, about that time in Dublin. It was horrible. You know.
You mentioned that there in passing that people know who you were in the past, or obviously the early 70s, so we have to talk about, we'd like to talk about Phil.
Sure.
It's coming up to the 4th of January. Will be the 30th anniversary of Mr.
Yeah, and
it's untimely.
This year.
You're going to be playing the Five for Phil.
Yeah.
The Five for Phil is a very important event in the Dublin music scene because it helps keep the flame of Phil's legacy burning. How important for you is something like that in terms of the legacy of Phil, of Thin Lizzy, and of the Irish music industry as a whole?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. You know, I might go off the on a tangent here a little bit so you can pull me back. The thing that got me was like Philip's mother, Philomena, God love her, when Phil passed away, she was rooting for Philip, you know, keeping his name alive, getting his statue together, and so on and so on and so on. How do you call him? When Rory Gallagher passed away, Rory's brother Donald kept the flame flying. He got a statue of him here, there and everywhere. Street names called after him and so on. No one has done that for Gary Moore. Gary was a very good friend of mine. So on the album I've dedicated a song for Gary, and it's the end song on the album, you know. So that's just as important to me as Philip or Rory, you know. Maybe someday someone will start making a fuss of Gary Moore and getting a statue of him together, you know what I mean? I don't think it's great. But anyway, yeah, Philip's, you know, the vibe for Philip, as you say, it is very important, yeah. And it brings a lot of people together. It keeps the whole Thin Lizzy thing going, you know, which is great.
Yeah. Actually, just as you mentioned Gary, I know for a fact, and it's not actually widely known, but in February, on the anniversary of Gary's death, and Gary's birthday actually, there will be a special equivalent of the Five for Philo held here in Belfast for Gary Moore.
Well, there's a very big gig happening for him in Brighton next June, which I've been asked to do. So, you know,
yeah, Brighton was his adopted hometown at the end.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
So, say 30 years past, take you back to what is your abiding memory of Phil? What is the one thing that you will always remember about him?
It was like when I met him first and we started living together and so on, and Thin Lizzy started, it was a really, really nice guy, great company, very soft-spoken, one of the boys, and very talented. And he was always, you could see him sort of working all the time, like wheels within wheels. You know, he used to carry a little sort of a gypsy bag, for want of a better word, and in there was like his lyrics book and so on and so on. So I mean, like being with him, you seen him sort of working, you know. And then whenever we lived together in Clontarf in the early days, I'd be sitting playing guitar, and he'd walk past me and he'd say, "Hey Eric, is that yours?" No, it's off, you know, the Birds album or something like that. And he said, "Okay," and walk past. Then the next night he'd say, "Hey Eric, is that yours?" And I'd, "Yeah, right." And he would come on down, and I'd go down to his bedroom, there'd be 2 acoustic guitars there, and we'd start working on the song, you know. So he was always sort of working on things, and working on his clothes, buying a pair of jeans, taking the seams out and putting stars down the side. He would be doing all this all the time, you know, so he knew what he wanted, and he worked at it very hard, and that's what I picked up from him. Very dedicated type of guy, a lot of energy.
You left the band quite early in the career, before they really made a big name of themselves. Whiskey in the Jar had come out, The Rocker.
Sure.
You left in 1973, 74.
I helped pave the way, you know.
Yeah, you will always be the founder. I want to talk about, very briefly, another member of Thin Lizzy, who unfortunately departed
Eric.
from us, Eric Rickson. Not many people outside of fans of Thin Lizzy know that the band actually started out as a 4-piece.
I know that.
With a keyboard player, and released a single with the Eric. What are your memories of Eric?
That's right.
Your namesake.
Eric was a character and a half. The first night Thin Lizzy started, I was in the Bailey. I'd left the Dreams show band for about 6 weeks. So I was working 6 nights a week with the Dreams show band, Monday night off, and then I left and I wasn't working at all. That's just, you know, I'm sitting in the flat every night going, what have I done? You know, I left the Dreams show band. So I started going out into Dublin city centre at night on my own, looking for musicians, and it wasn't looking great. You know, everybody I asked, do you know any bass players and drummers? No, but if we find out, I'll get in touch and so on. And about 5 or 6 weeks passed, and one night I was in the Bailey, and Eric Rickson walked in, and I knew him to see. I'd talked to him very briefly a few times, but we didn't really know each other. he came over, he says, "Hey Eric." I says, "Hey Eric." He said, "What are you doing?" I says, "Well, I've left a Dream show band about 5 weeks ago." Now he was in a show band called Terry and the Trixons, which was another young show band based in Dublin. And he said, "I'm thinking of leaving the Trixons to get into music again, you know. What are you doing tonight?" So we ended up going to Countdown Club together. And he gave me my first tab of acid, or my first half tab of acid. He was a bit of a lad, you know, Eric. And he had all these little tricks, you know, like we ran out of, I hope it's all to talk about this, I'm sure it is. We ran out of dope one night, and he went to the chemist, and he bought these Benzedrine inhalers, which are like Vic inhalers, but they were Benzedrine. And he brought one into the change room, and he smashed it with his foot, opened up the remains, and there was a little thing like a filter tip of a cigarette inside it. And he got a paper cup of Coca-Cola, put this filter tip thing in it and swirled it around. He says, "Give it about 10 minutes and then drink it," you know. So I'm sitting there about 10 minutes later I drink it. Jesus, man. 20 minutes later I'm, you know, talking to anybody I seen, you know. So Eric was a bit of a character. When Philip and me got the house, Eric moved in with us, and he was part of Thin Lizzy, you know. To be honest with you, I didn't want a 4-piece band, I wanted a 3-piece band. And what happened was one day we were rehearsing, the 4 of us, and our manager came in, Terry O'Neill, who was 16 years of age. This guy, our manager, and he was incredible. On the phone, he could really sell us, you know. They got us some amazing money. Anyway, he came into the rehearsal one day and he says, "Listen lads, I think we're going to have to split up, or one of you is going to have to leave." And we're all sitting back in each other, and Eric Grayson goes, "When do you want me to leave?" You know. So that was that. So he still lived with me and Philip, but he wasn't playing with us anymore. And one night we came home from the gig, and there's in the front room this enormous big map of the world, figuring out what to do with his life. He says, "I want to go to Sweden or Denmark and live." So about 2 weeks later he left, you know, and that was one of the last times I seen him. He said, quite a few years ago at Christmas, I saw him in one of the bars in the city centre. We had a few drinks, you know, a few laughs. But he's a real character, right? Real, and I was very sad to hear about him.
I had the great pleasure of meeting him, and actually spent a couple of nights at his house when he was living down in Hollywood.
That's
and
right,
he died.
yes, that's right.
We're nearly out of time, but I want to ask you about something. We've talked about Lizzy in the 1970s. I was digging through my record collection. Can you tell us what this was all about? Do you remember this?
I know nothing. Yeah.
Funky Junction, a tribute to Deep Purple album produced in 1972, and the guys from Thin Lizzy, Phil Lynott, Eric Bell, Brian Downey, and some Egypt on vocals.
Got nothing to do with me.
Phil wouldn't sing on it because he didn't think he could do the songs.
That's
not right.
Yeah, well, what happened, like to cut a long story short, what happened was one day we went into our office in Dean Street in London, the 3 of us, and our manager said, "Right lads, this American guy came in yesterday or the day before, and he's offered us X amount of money, and he wants you to record an album of Deep Purple's songs, and if you do, he's going to give us X amount of money, which is going to keep the office afloat and pay the secretary's wages, the telephone bill and so on. Please do it." And we said, "What? Deep fucking Purple?" Funnily enough, Philip was going to form a band with Richie Blackmore at one point.
Yeah, it was around about the same time.
It was,
Richie
yes.
and Ian Pace.
Well, Richie Blackmore, I know that for a fact because he came down to the studio a few times and I met him, you know. Anyway, so we said, okay, so they booked us a studio and we started listening to some of Deep Purple stuff and learning the licks and the riffs and so on. And Philip said, "Hey, I can't sing like that bloke, you know. It's too high. Why don't we get over..." There was a band in Dublin called Elmer Fudd, I think they were called, and Bernard White was the singer, and he could sing very like Ian Gillan. And Mojo was the keyboard player who played a hand. So we said to our management, I tell you what, we should get Bernard White over and Mojo. They both know Deep Purple's songs. They can sing them, they can play them. Philip said, fly them over, put them into a bit of a hotel, give them a few bob, and they'll do the session. So they came over about 5 days later, and we all went into the studio, and we recorded this album. And I think we ran out of time, so I put in a Danny Boy instrumental just to fill up the space, and so on and so on. And then it was released, and like you couldn't give it away, you know.
Does it ever annoy you that you were actually never recognised? I mean, you're not named anywhere, and it's not even you guys on the front cover.
This is true. But yeah, welcome to the show business. But actually, what happened and what is happening is they've got a little sticker on it now saying original Thin Lizzy is playing on this, you know.
Yeah.
So that's what's on some of them now, you know, just to probably to sell them. You know?
That's an original pressing.
Yes.
How long is it since you've seen a copy of this?
I've got a copy now. Somebody actually sent me one. They said, you want a copy? I get sent quite a few bits and pieces from various people, you know. Have you seen this photograph, you know, of Thin Lizzy? And some of them they sent me I've never seen in my life. I've got loads of them on my phone, you know, that people send. And some of them I've never seen. You know, like
is it nice for you if people do that?
It is absolutely incredible. I can't believe it. You know, that like the amount of interest that people have. Like, let me see. For instance.
Oh, that is an old one.
Yeah, but there's some really old ones. I'll show you this one. But
this unfortunately isn't coming across it. Eric, we could talk all night, but you've got a gig to do.
Okay, mate.
And it has been a genuine honour and pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your insights. And one of my favourite bands, and as I said at the top of the interview, a genuine inspiration, a musical hero of mine, of my wife who's behind the camera.
Okay.
And
wifey.
a genuine living legend in the Irish music scene.
Okay.
And look forward to the set and look forward to so many memories. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Eric Bell.